Good afternoon to each and everyone who are joining us today in this presentation. This is just a presentation on how, what is the outlook of the corn industry in the country. As I am pleased and thankful for the invitation from Ateneo de Cagayan or Xavier University College of Agriculture. Thank you very much for giving me time to share the outlook of corn industry as well as the challenges and the problems of the corn farmers all over the country. Another slide, please. So let us just take a look on how important corn is throughout the world. Compared to rice, corn is having a production of about 2 billion metric tons. That's 2 billion metric tons. And traded corn all over the world is about 200 million metric tons. Compared to rice, which is just about 500 million metric tons. But in the country today, rice is more important than corn. We are just second class in terms of agricultural crop, commodity crop in the country. Out of the 500 million metric tons of corn, what is consumed is about 70%, representing 350 million metric tons. And we have a total reserve of 25%, all over the world. And rice traded about 5%, which is about 25. So you can just imagine, Philippines, we are not sustainable. We're not self-sufficient for rice. So we are competing to import the 5%, which is 25 million metric tons from the other countries. So as I said, the most important crop in the Philippines is rice, of course, corn, and coconut. So these are the three important commodity crops in the country. Another slide, please. So this is the corn situation here, all over the country. Corn in the GBA, or gross value added, in 2020 shares about 5.8% in the agri-fisheries sector, valued at about 102.5 billion pesos in constant prices since 2018. Our corn production all over the country is 8.212 million metric tons. So the biggest corn producer in the country, there are three. That is Region 2, which is in Isabela or up north, Region 10, which is now here in Northern Mindanao, and Region 12, which is in Cotabato area. So these are the three champion regions for corn all over the country. The other area or regions in the country are contributing, but not really as big as these three champion regions. So we have a sufficiency level of corn about 57%. So in other words, we are still importing corn and corn substitute in order to fill up the gap. So we also have white corn, but our white corn is more sufficient. So I'm happy to note that there are people here from Cebu. We understand that Cebu is a white corn eating country. So Cebu, some in Bohol, and the other in Dumaguete. So all of their corn comes from Mindanao. So the biggest producer of white corn in the country is in BARM, or Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao. But unfortunately, they have the less consuming corn grits in the country. They have a big consumption for rice. So what happened is that they are exporting their corn to other regions like Visayas, and the biggest, actually the biggest consumer for corn grits is white corn grits is Region 9, which is Zamboanga. This is the contribution for corn. But out of the, let's say, 2.5 million metric tons of corn all over the country, 50% or 40% of that goes to the livestock sector. Just the same with yellow corn. So the effective area of yellow corn, or combined with white all over the country, is 2.5 million hectares. Ang farmer is about 1 million 0.13 million Filipino people engage in corn farming all over the country. The farm gate price since January to February for yellow corn is 12 to 13 pesos, no? For white, it's still 13.50 to sometimes it goes up to 15, no? So depende sa situation, depende din sa area of production. No? So and then the cost of production average for yellow corn dry is about 10 plus, sometimes 11 per kilo, with an average production of 4.17 metric tons per hectare. No, this is an average, no, kasi there are areas, for example, as I mentioned, there are champion corn areas that already has a production of 16 metric tons per hectare. No, and for our white corn for dry, the price averaging for 8, no? But this is very sad because we need to increase prices for white corn because this is more marginalized farmers. We should be able to raise up the price of corn to 13, no? Actually, in the previous administration, when we still have the Republic Act 7607 that is anchored, where National Corn Program anchored their policies, they are buying for rice and corn support price. For corn, for example, is 13.50. No, so rice is 19. For corn is 13.50. But after the ratification of rice in the RTL or the rice ratification law, effectively NFA is already rice centric. So they are not buying corn in support price anymore, but they are only buying rice. No, so unfortunate, that very unfortunate for us because we corn now are rendered orphans. No, there is no agency in the country that is supporting corn in terms of price support or marketing support. No, so this is one of the policies that we wanted to really correct and harmonize. So what is the products for corn? No, so products for corn, natural, the biggest percentage of about 76 is for feeds. No, this is being used for feeds for livestock, poultry, and cattle, no, and fishery, no. So 19% is for staple. Ito yung mga kinakain natin, yung corn grits, no. So staple, why staple? Kasi napaka-healthy ang corn, no. So marami ang nutrina ng corn at saka maganda ang balanse ng corn compared to rice, no? Kasi ang rice, if you will notice, napakataas ang carbohydrates and it can easily be converted into sugar, no? So this is the reason why in the country today there are about several millions of Filipinos that is already affected with diabetes, no? So the single culprit that they're saying, they're targeting rice because we are consuming 3 times a day eating rice. In other words, that is effectively eating sugar 3 times a day. You know? So that is why we have a program for rice and corn, for rice corn blend, in order to blend corn because corn has low glycemic. In other words, it can prevent from diabetes kasi low glycemic siya. And then marami siyang essential amino acids at saka lysine at marami ding vitamins, no? A, C, and E. No? So marami siyang magandang bagay na ibibigay sa ating katawan, no? So this is very sad kasi ang brand lang sa mais, 4-month staple, but actually it is more nutritious compared to rice, no? So the other component for use for corn is syrup, no? This is fructose syrup, yung sugar for soft drinks and others, no? That comprises 1.9%. And we also have starch, no? So sometimes this starch is used for our industrial sector. Malaki na rin sila ngayon, malaki na yung industrial sector. Here in Cagayan de Oro, Northern Mindanao, for example, we have the biggest plant for corn starch, which is Cagayan corn oil, no? So mayroon na silang corn starch processing they are supplying Nestle for Nestle to make coffee mate out of the cornstarch, no? The other one is oil, no? So nandito din sa Cagayan de Oro yung yung Limkit Kai, no? So they are producing corn oil, no? So which comprises 0.44%, and of course the other one is flour, no? Ito ang ginagamit sa mga pandesal, no? So another slide please. So this is just to show us our corn production. No? This data comes from other country, and they are also monitoring the ASEAN and other countries in terms of corn production. So if you imagine from 1960, we only have 1 million hectares. No, so it goes up in 1987, the biggest one. It reaches 3 point something million, and then it stabilized in 2 million mark until now. No? So this is precisely because of the advent of hybridization. Our agronomy side for corn seeds has been addressed by the private sector. No? So this is the reason why bumaba yung area but the yield increase. No? So even with the small area but your yield increases, so it can compensate with the area. Another slide, please. So, comparing Vietnam, Vietnam only have about 400. From the start, they have 200 hectares. And then they reached the highest of 1.2 million hectares. And now they are moving down. So, long time ago, we have a big quarrel with Vietnam because there were technical smuggling going on. Vietnam has been importing corn from Brazil and declaring it corn from their country. No? So, and then they exported it back to the ASEAN, especially here in the Philippines. No? So, ito yung problema nung araw kasi nahuli namin sila at nakuha namin yung sample, napa-DNA namin. So nung na-DNA siya, mayroon siyang transformational event, no, for GM. And unfortunately, during those times, ang Vietnam does not grow GM. So in other words, it does not come from them. Mayroon kasing issue yan on tax because if you're going to import corn from other countries, most favored nation, yung tax tariff mo is 40%. But if you're going to import corn coming from the ASEAN regions, the tax is only 5%. So ginawa nila, so binababa nila ang barko doon sa Thailand or Cambodia or Vietnam and then declared it that the supply comes from them. So they exported to the Philippines and then yung 5% lang yung tax, no? But that's really a problem of rules of origin and that's technical smuggling, no? Right now, they already adopted GM technology, so that's the reason why they are also moving down in terms of area utilization, but their yield is still higher. So another slide, please. So compared to Indonesia, so ang Indonesia very consistent, hindi pa rin sila nag-GM now. So umaakyat yung number of hectares nila, no? So may mga area sila near to the Philippines na pwede sila mag-export dito kasi sometimes ang area nila malaki ang potential to export to us, no, from the back door, no? But sometimes then mayroon din mga illegal smuggling coming from them, no? So that is the challenge. Pero compared to the area, in other words, they are the first one. Malaki din sila, no? Because malaki din yung population base ng Indonesia, no? So at saka malaki din yung support ng Indonesia to the corn farmers or the farmers, no? Kasi if you're going to plant rice and corn, for example, in Indonesia, you will be subsidized with inputs, no? The government is going to give you at least 10 bags minimum of urea because they have a cracking plant, no? So binibigyan yung mga farmers nila. Sa atin kasi rito, to each his own. Ang farmer dito nangungutang sa mga 5-6 para lang makatanim. And then when the price goes down, talagang kawawa yung farmer. Another slide, please. So this is just to give us total bird's eye view on the Philippine corn production. No? So, kung makita kanina, halos pareho lang talaga ito because of the graphs, no? So the highest production growth natin is 2.6%, no? And then ang yield natin is 2.4. Ang area natin is just 0.1. Precisely the reason is sometimes the farmer are discouraged to plant precisely because the prices is not also okay, you know. And then sometimes there are a lot of importation coming into the country. The price drives down. So nadi-discourage ang farmers. Yung planting intention is affected. So this is the reason why ang growth rates talagang maliit, no? So and then, syempre makikita natin ang comparison mo from 2019, 2020. So napakaliit talaga yung ating, another slide please. Now for yellow, just for yellow, no? So yellow accounts for about 74% of the total corn production, no? So kung makikita natin na umaabot siya ng 5 or 6 million mark metric tons, no? So ito yung napakalaki talaga ang production ng yellow. Kasi ang yellow kasi is more industrial, no? So unlike white, nasa staple siya, but ang yellow kasi is more industrial, feeds and some other industrial use, no? Yung starch, oil, and yung fructose sugar. So can you please go to the next slide, please? So ito yung white, no? So ang white comprises only about 25.96%, no? So napakaliit ng white, but if you're going to take a look on the area, umabot din siya ng 1 million hectares, no? So malaki din ang area ng white, no? Kasi marginalized ito, kinakain ng mga farmer. Ang problema kasi sa white, napakalaki ang harvest natin during the wheat season crop, and it aggravates the problem kasi maliit yung pricing. Kaya nung araw, ang NFA kasi nung araw, ang tawag sa kanila is RCA, Rice and Corn Administration. Then they were converted into NGA, the National Grains Authority, and later they are converted to the National Food Authority. The anchor law nila is the Republic Act 7607, which is the Magna Carta for the small farmers, no? In the Magna Carta of small farmers, may mga provisions doon on the price support. Very particular is the rice and corn. That's the reason why NFA has been buying support price for rice and corn. But unfortunately, during the RTL or the rice tarification, nawala yung mandate nila for corn. Kaya nga medyo ulila yung corn ngayon. We are orphan. That's the reason why we are promoting, advocating to create a Philippine Corn Industry Development Administration. And now it is pending in Congress, authored by our very own Rufus Rodriguez, and there is another congresswoman coming from Iloilo, no? So makikita natin dito talaga na ang white corn has a big potential for staple, no? This can help and complement our rice importation. If we will support corn grits, for example, in other countries, we were in Egypt, no? So their staple is white corn, no? We were in Brazil. Their staple is yellow corn, no, and white corn, no? So if this can only be adopted, no, so in other words, this can really be one of the complement of rice. Instead of importing rice, we will utilize white corn as our staple, put it in the pedestal so that it will be able to gain respect. And of course, we need also to modernize the corn mills in the country, because if you can just imagine the corn mills, if you have visited one, ay napakadumi, maraming cobwebs, and unlike rice, talagang napakalinis na ng rice milling nila. So this is one of the challenges in the corn industry, you know. So another slide, please. So what are the problems of the corn farmers for decades, no? So the problem really is price. If there is no harvest, the price is high. high as in heaven, no? If there is a harvest, the price goes back to the grapes of the farmers, no? Talagang bagsak na bagsak, no? Pag may harvest. So, there is a missing link there, no? So, in other words, there should be intervention of government to stabilize price and stabilize supply, and of course, give farmers income predictable, no? So, the other problem, of course, is inputs. Nung araw kasi, there was a time that the price of corn was just, or the price of input for corn, urea, for example, was just 500. And then it went up to 700. And then during the crisis, it went up to 2,800, no? Even putas at that time went up to 2,500. But the price of corn in the country still remained low. But in the international price, the price goes to about 30 pesos per kilo. And we ask government to give us opportunity to export, no? But the problem is that we are not allowed to export. Even with the signing up of government for WTO and AFTA, which is the ASEAN Free Trade, we corn, the first commodity to be liberalized, is not allowed to export. You can just imagine, no? So you liberalize your corn importation and corn substitute by way of feed wheat, but you are not allowing corn export. That is how unfair the fair trade or the world trade or the country or the government or the policy for corn, for example. The other problem is pest and disease, no? Ang mga peste, may maraming peste na. For example, the recent one is yung PAO, yung Pole Army Worm, no? So, meron na rin ngayong bago na nakita nila sa Luzon. And then the other one is, of course, the disease, no? When it comes to galing kasi pag galing sa ulan, tapos galing sa init, may mga iba-ibang peste, iba-ibang disease that comes into corn, no? So, yan ang challenge. The other one really is also rainfall and drought. Sometimes you cannot predict anymore, unlike before, no? So, but we have to be content with all of this and use the necessary tools on predicting the climate or rainfall in the country whereby you'll be able to plant. So like for example today, rainy season is coming in, so we are planting already. In my farm, I already completed my plants. And then we expect to harvest by August and September. The problem is that August and September is also a rainy season. And then we do not have the post-harvest facility, so the problem there is price going down. So that is a problem for rainfall and drought. No? So the drought, of course, your corn will not grow. No? So the other one is mechanization. Right now in whole Asia, napakaliit pa ng mechanization in the country. No? We are not even 1 horsepower per hectare. Unlike other countries, they are fully mechanized. No? So, ang challenge ng government siguro, or DA for example, is we need to beef up our mechanization. Right now, there were already intervention coming from PhilMaize, coming from RCEP, giving support for mechanization. We hope that the mechanization will go as far as 3 or 5 horsepower per hectare. No? Kasi the latest one that we know is from 0.7 to 0.8, I do not know if we still reach the 1 horsepower. No? The biggest problem of all is the post-harvest facility. In the corn farming, we have 2 croppings. The first crop is wheat season crop. No? The second is the dry season crop. We do not have a problem for dry season because we can dry our corn in the highway or in the multipurpose. Problem is we harvest during the wheat season crop, which is this coming August and September. And then after September, after August, 1 month after, you're going to prepare your field in order for you to plant your second crop. So you have a missing link. You need a post-harvest to dry your corn. Otherwise, your corn will not guarantee integrity of quality in the next month's use. No? So in the cycle of harvest, the first crop supplies the market for the 7th month, no? 7 months. The second crop supply the market cross over the first cropping for 5 months. Now 5 and 7 complete the cycle of 12 months a year. Without the necessary post-harvest, then the problem of quality comes in. So we need a post-harvest facility and storage in order for us to guarantee quality, to stabilize price, and stabilize supply. And of course, give farmers income, no? Predictable income for farmers and predictable costs of the livestock sector. The other problem really is also marketing platform. We do not have a marketing platform like, for example, in the US or in Brazil, or even in a small area of Africa. In Ethiopia, for example, they already have a commodity exchange system used for coffee trading. No? In Brazil, they have a commodity exchange system used for corn and other commodity. In America, of course, they have a Chicago Board of Exchange, commodity exchange, used for corn, for hedging. No? So this is very important for the farmers to protect their income and for the end users also to guarantee their volume of supply in the next few months after harvest. The other challenge is insurance. In other countries, insurance is part of government intervention or support to farmers. In the country, the farmer has to insure his crop to a PCIC. I understand PCIC is here, no? For several occasions, we've been advocating that there should be a change of policies in PCIC. Because if you're going to plant corn, for example, all of your inputs is there already in the first 20 days of your planting. In other words, all of the inputs is already put in your field in the first 20 or 30 days of your plant. Now, if you are hit by a typhoon in the 40th day, you will not be compensated 100% because your corn is still vegetative. There is no fruit. So you will not be compensated 100%. But your investment is already there. No? So you need to make amendments on how to compensate farmers. Otherwise, dagok yung farmer. Kawawa talaga yung farmer. Kung natamaan siya dyan, nandyan na yung lahat ng inputs niya during the early days of planting, then farmers will result again to 5-6. Talagang mapuputos na siya sa utang. No? The other one is, of course, insurance mismo ng farmer, no? Welfare mismo ng farmer. Kaya if you are going to see in the corn fields or rice field, makakita ka ng malaking bahay, titingnan mo o nagtatanong ka, sino may-ari ng malaking bahay? Farmer ba or trader ba? Most of the time, they will tell you, those are traders. So in other words, the traders are making money, but the farmers are not. No? So these are the disparity of opportunities of income for farmers in the whole country po. No? So, another slide please. So where are we now? So, kanina pinakita natin yung production. No? So, production for corn, area harvested. Ang problem kasi, sinasabi natin kanina is that when we sign up with WTO early on, the budget for corn was only 60 million pesos. 60 million pesos, no? And then during those times, the area is already about 1 million hectares, no? Now, 2021, no? Ngayon, 2021, ang budget ng corn is 1.4 billion pesos. So ano ang kailangan niya? It has ito sa yellow lang po sa yellow lang itong sinasabi ko rito. The total physical area for yellow is 1.26 million hectares. No? And then ang post-harvest coverage niya ngayon, sometimes malaki, maliit, tapos mayroong private sector, is maybe about 3%, which is about 75,000 hectares all over the country. no? Sporadic ito, no? So, pero kung i-minus mo siya, ang total cover niya or ang kulang pa rin niya is 1.18 million hectares po. So in the 1.8 million hectares, for post-harvest lang itong pinag-usapan natin, no? So in 1.84 million hectares, an average of 100 million o 100,000 per hectare na budget for post-harvest, you need 118 billion pesos po. Now, you can just imagine you have a budget of 1.4 billion, but for post-harvest alone, you already need 100 billion. Where are you going to get that money? No? So, we said that in other countries kasi mayroon silang sinasabi na viability gap fund. Viability gap fund is being used by farmer proponents with a viable projects. No? For example, for post-harvest facility, very important. It's a public good. It's just like building a school, building a hospital, building a bridge. It's a public good, so it is needed. No, so you need to invest on that. No, but there is no funding support coming from the government, so we need to access from a formal lending institution. So we need a kind of guarantee. No, but we do not have that in the country today. We're still advocating this in our policy people from Senate, Congress, and of course DA. Now, for our mechanization support, we need 53 billion pesos. You can just imagine, just to address the yellow corn production, no? And then the other production support, seeds, fertilizer, etc., you need 19 billion pesos. Now, I'm just saying here that with all of this, comparatively with the current budget of 1.4, where are we now? That's a question. Where are we now? With the budget of 1.4, you need 100 billion for your post-harvest. You need 53 billion for your mechanization. You need 19 billion for the production support. So where will the farmers go in the next 5 years? So this is really a big question mark and a problem for the corn industry. Another slide, please. So, kanina sinasabi na natin, meron tayong first cropping, second cropping. We need to understand the weather patterns, no? Because this is where we're going to plant. No? So, in the forecast, sa quarter 2 or second quarter, nandiyan talaga yung planting natin. No? So, for example, May, ngayon, nagtatanim na tayo, di ba? So, mag-harvest ka niyan because the corn is 4-month crop. So, you're going to harvest that corn August, no? Or September. And please take a look on the graph. What is the weather pattern during August and September? It's a wet season. Napakataas yung ulan, napakataas yung rainfall. No? So, and then, ang problema pa dyan, you are going to harvest, and then you're going to prepare again your field so that you can plant for the dry season crop. No? So this is the big challenge. Kaya nga sabi namin sa government, we will just arrest or sequester 30% of the wheat season crop harvest, then we can stabilize price and we can stabilize supply. No? And then the farmers of the farmer incomes will not be jeopardized. With, of course, the budget. No? Kasi ang problema nandiyan sa wheat season. In the dry season, there's no problem because dry. When you harvest, it's dry. So when you harvest it dry, you can dry the corn in the field, no? So yun nga sinasabi, grains on the highway because the highway is full of greens, no? Doon nagbibilad ang mga farmer, no? So during the dry season, but on the wheat season crop, you need to have a post-harvest, no? You need to have a post-harvest. So this is just to show us where the problem lies in terms of quality for us to supply the feed milling sector, the livestock sector. No, so sinasabi ko kanina, for example, in August you're going to harvest. That's the 65 or 74% yung sinasabi kanina, total supply, no? So you're going to harvest that, then you're going to supply the market in the next 7 months. Now, in the next 7 months, if the quality is not good, 2 months later, the quality will be jeopardized. No? So, the livestock sector will settle on the biologics, will settle on the toxin binders. But the problems there goes back to the growth of the livestock, the production of eggs, the production of meat. No? So the problem will go just the same, parang Ferris wheel goes up and down, still just the same. No? Another slide, please. So this is the holistic view of the price, normal price, and supply curve. No? So we just overlay the northern and the southern Mindanao prices. No? During July, August, September, for example, in Mindanao, no? So the supply is low during July. It goes up to August and September, and it goes down October. So the price in July is high, the supply is low. Then the price in August and September goes down, no? Inverted the bell, no? And then goes up again if there is no corn. So if you're going to overlay all of this, ito yung lines niya. In other words, hindi siya stabilized. Mayroon siyang taas, mayroon siyang mababa. No? So if you're going to put quality there, then you will have a problem all the more. No? So ito yung overlay ng price. When there is no corn, there is no supply, price is high. If there is supply, the price goes down. The supply goes up. So sinasabi namin, even kanina sa hearing doon sa Senate, sabi ko, we should be allowed a structural policy reform. The policy reform is that during the wheat season crop, we should be allowed to export our bumper harvest. For example, we have a volume of 300,000 metric tons exported during the bumper harvest. We do not see, or we are not saying that we are making money out of that export. What we are doing is just to stabilize the supply in the local market, no? Para hindi siya magputok, hindi siya magbuto, no? Kasi just like balloon, kung marami yan, puputok yan, di ba? So babagsak yung presyo. So in order for us to just inflate or deflate it, so ilabas mo, no? And then during the season when there is no crop, then you export it back the same volume para ma-equalize lang yung supply ng market. So these are the things that we need to advocate for a policy change, because people in government does not have the skills for business. They are more on just I hate to say this, but they are making policy for people who are on the ground, and they are only on their desk. No, so this is one really problem. So another slide, please. So in the global price trends right now, so the prices is going up. No, from 2010 goes down, goes up. No, and then 2020 now is going up. The prices is going up. So the prices of meat also and poultry will also go up, no, in 2021 onwards, no. This is the trend now in the market, no, for corn. So another slide, please. So this is the price trend, no, in terms of metric tons or pesos, no. So ito yung trend ngayon. And then 2013, and then now 2018, no? So another going up, no? So this is the comparative to rice, no? So another slide, please. So kanina pinakita natin yung trend, no? Ito yung price ngayon, no? So October 2020, November 2020, December 2020. In other words, from October last year, tumaas na yung presyo, no? And then ngayon, January, February, tataas yung presyo. But in the Philippines, in the last 2 years, in the Philippines, napakaganda ang harvest ng corn farmers. Napakaganda. Pero ang problema, walang magandang presyo. Kaya napakaganda ang ani, pero wala pong kita. Kaya nga po, sinasabi namin, hindi siguro totoo yung sinasabing magandang ani, magandang kita. Kasi po, in the last 2 years, napakagandang ani talaga, pero wala talagang kita yung corn farmer po. So, another slide please. So, right now, the reference price for corn is $291. No? So, convert that to peso, is about 15 pesos per kilo. That is in the US. No? So, kung papunta pa yan dito, so tataas ng tataas yan. No? So, kaya nga maganda siguro ngayon yung corn farming, pero hindi natin malaman in August or September what will happen to the price because of the quality concerns. No? So, but just the same, the reference price now is 14.96 or $291.34 per kilo. So, ito yun ang conversion po. No? So, another slide please. So, ang isang problema, siyempre, yung imports. No? Sinasabi ko nga kanina, when we sign up with WTO, we are not allowed to export by virtue of Presidential Decree number 4. No? So, ngayon, may sinasabi sila, pwede na daw, pero hindi nga natin talagang alam kung anong policy yon, by words o meron talaga administrative orders. No? Kasi sinasabi namin there should be a parang administrative orders in order for us to be guided. Otherwise, if this is just a pronouncement, then later it can be changed, no? So, dapat talagang in place yung policy, hindi lang by whim, no? Kasi gusto mo ma-please yung industry, we need a consistency of policies. Kasi po, ang problema kasi sa agriculture in the country, disablers yung ating policy people, disablers instead of being enablers, no? Ang policy kasi is enabling yan aid to the farmers. No, for example ngayon, nag-i-import tayo. Ano ang nakikita natin? Sa importation natin, napakalaki ang dagok ng ating supply for corn kasi nga na-replace yan ng importation, no? So kung nag-i-import tayo ng, for example, ng poultry, ang conversion ng poultry is nasa 3.5 kilos per per kilo of poultry meat. So, kung yan ang feed conversion ratio, napakalaking dagok sa ating corn farmers yan. If you're going to convert how many kilos of poultry being imported and how many kilos is the loss of opportunity for corn farmers to supply the feed millers in order for them to feed yung poultry, no? So yan ang isang problema. And mind you me, in this graph, the importation is rising, you know, from 2011 up to 2017 and up to today, talagang the importation is rising. Another slide please. So ito yung mga affecting factors doon sa farmers' income, no? So, sinasabi namin kanina kasi na ang importation is not only for corn. There are also importation of feed wheat. The feed wheat kasi is a substitute for corn. The other substitute is yung cassava, no? Cassava pellets. And the other importation of DDGS, yung distilled dry grains, no? That is the distilled dry grains coming from corn na ginamit doon sa bio oil nila, no, na mais. So yun ang ini-import natin. Now, tingnan niyo sa graph. Kung tinitingnan niyo yan sa graph, you can just imagine during the harvest time, napakalaki din yung importation nila. No, so sabi nga namin, dapat mag-import kayo kung walang harvest, no, para hindi magalaw yung prices for the farmers. Sometimes it is intentional yung tingin namin. Even on a small volume na i-import nila, if there is an announcement that there's importation, then the price crash. No? So yan ang problem. No? So yan talaga ang kailangan natin ng mga policy shift natin. No? So while we're saying that we are going to be consumer-centric, but you need to address and develop, empower the farmers in the vertical integration or the backward integration, no? Kasi hindi naman pwedeng lahat na lang consumer, price stability on the consumer, but you are not addressing the producer side, no? Saan na lang tayo pupulutin kung wala na yung producer, no? So hindi naman lahat mabibigay yan sa ating imports, no? Another slide, please. So, natural itong observation dito sa mga price curves na tinitingnan natin, no? Ito yung sinasabi namin, abnormal price movements. Ang normal price, for example, if there is no harvest, napakataas yung dotted line, no? If there is mababa kasi yung supply natin in the low, yung green, no? Now, if there is harvest, of course, bababa yung price, no? So, tapos tataas siya pag walang harvest, no? So, makikita natin. Pero, if that is coupled with, ibig sabihin, sabayan pa siya ng importation, so ito yung red line ng price drop. You can just imagine, yan ang price drop, no? With a production of 6 million metric tons, a 1 peso is about 60 billion pesos. No? So you can just imagine just a single peso, 1 peso loss in the prices, that translate already of 1 billion pesos. That is supposed to be to ignite economic activity in the rural areas and to give incomes to farmers in the rural areas. Yan ang problema natin. Kung hindi natin masolusyonan yan, ganyan at ganyan yan for the rest of our lives. So we need to rationalize, harmonize our policies so that the consumer will be protected and the producers will also be protected. So the missing link is the post-harvest facility and the investment requirement. Another slide, please. So ito yung sinasabi natin kanina, yung displacement, no, yung corn farmers losses due to importation, no. Number one displacement, siyempre yung taxes, no, yung opportunity cost, import taxes and opportunity cost, no. For example lang ito, no. So sa corn, for example, 390,000 metric tons, no. Ang duties niya 5% sa Atiga, which is about 234 million. Now, on the MFN, no, most favored nation like Argentina and the US, no, 35% ang duties, that's 1.6 billion pesos po. No? For feed wheat, for example, ang average importation niya in a year is 3 million metric tons. 7% ang duty niya. No? Kasi dalawa ito, mayroong feed wheat, mayroong food grade, at saka feed grade, ang wheat. No? Yung wheat na feed grade, yun yung pang feeds. Yung food grade, yun yung pang flour. Yun yung harina for flour. Hindi maganda yung quality niya, kaya downgraded siya, magiging feed wheat. No? So, ang duties niya is 7%. So, that's 2.6 billion po. No? 2.6 billion po. Sometimes in other countries, nag-zero tariff sila. Sometimes yung government natin also make a pronouncement na zero ang tariff niya. No? So, napakalaking dagok din sa mga producers. No? Now, in the case, for example, of losses of government, for example, in just a single peso, or 1 peso, or 2 pesos, no? 2 pesos per kilo drop of the 5 million metric tons production equals to 10 billion pesos po. Napakalaki po yun. Magkano lang po yung 4-piece project natin or 4-piece na mga binibigay? That's only 4 billion pesos. Here, just a mere pronouncement of importation, prices will drop down. No? 1 peso, 2 pesos, 3 pesos, 5 pesos, depende. So, but this representation is just giving you an insight on how much is the losses of farmers when it comes to importation po. No? That's 10 billion. Compared to the budget of corn, 1.4 billion pesos. Napakaliit po talaga. Napakaliit. Another slide, please. So yung displacement, ang explanation ng Webster Dictionary dito is a movement of something from its usual or correct place, no? So in other words, ang problema kasi nito, if feed millers, for example, is going to import corn or corn substitute by way of feed wheat or DDGS, itong ini-import nila na stock, siyempre ilalagay nila sa mga bodega nila. Pag ilalagay nila sa mga bodega yan, pag mag-harvest ang local, wala nang espasyo ang local sa mga bodega nila. Kasi yung mga bodega nila is already full of the imported products which is corn or corn substitute. So na-displace yung ating local production. Kasi normally, theoretically, ang kaya lang ma-inventaryo sa warehouse ng ating mga end user is just 30% of the total production. Eh, kung samantala yung production mo sa wheat season crop is already representing 60%, eh saan mo ilalagay yung 30%? Diba? So napakalaking displacement yan. No? Napakalaking displacement yan. Yun ang sinasabi namin na ang price dyan, siyempre, it will crash. Diba? Because of the limited space. No? Tapos, ang isang problema dyan, ang feed milling sector, ang capacity for credit nila, hindi rin napakalaki. Kaya nga kung mag-import sila, binabayaran nila ng cash yun. No? Tapos, talagang ilalagay nila sa bodega yan, otherwise, they will be penalized doon sa mga dimurahe ng barko. So, kawawa talaga yung local. Eh, nung araw, ang ginagawa, NFA ang sumasalo ng local production. Kasi meron tayong Republic Act 7607 that provides a support for rice and corn. So, ang NFA ngayon na mamimili, nilalagay nila sa mga bodega nila. Somehow, it stabilizes, no? And there was a law already passed that the price support is 13.5 or 13.50 per kilo. So kung bababa ang price sa market of corn for 13, maabot siya ng 12 or 10, kailangan mag-trigger ang NFA. Eh problem ngayon wala nang NFA kasi nga because of the rice tarification. So saan pupunta yung mga corn farmers? Talagang nagpupunta na lang po sila sa simbahan at nagdadasal na lang po. So yun na lang ang ginagawa nila. Kaya kawawa po talaga. No? So some planners kasi sa ating government, hindi naman sila talaga mga corn farmers, hindi nga nakakatanim eh. Hindi pa nga nalulugi sa buhay nila eh. Tapos sila ang nagagawa ng mga palisiya. Eh maganda sa kanila, yung farmers lugi. Pero sa kanila, 15-30 may sweldo sila. Eh tapos palpak yung mga palisiya nila. So that's very sad, no? So itong displacement causes a serious penalty for our local farmers. So, this is very tragic because now, as I've shown you in the graph, the world market price for corn is going up. It's going up. No? We're not saying naman they wanted that the prices is always wanted nga mataas siya palagi, no? Kasi we only wanted to stabilize the price. Kaya nga okay na tayo sa 13.50 or 13.75, no? Stabilizing yung price mo, there's no problem. Kasi kung tataas din yan, tataas din yung itlog, tataas din yung corn or yung chicken meat, tataas din yung pork meat, no? So gusto lang natin stabilize. Pero how are you going to stabilize if you do not have the post-harvest and the storage? No, ito yung mga kailangan natin i-adapt as the policy, structural policy reforms, no? So another slide, please. So ano ang gusto ng farmers lang? So ang main concern sa ng farmer yung post-harvest facility and of course fair price, di ba? Kasi kung may fair price yan, ang planting intentions, ang gusto, motivation ng farmer or intent ng farmer to plant is magtatanim talaga. Eh ngayon nga kung makikita mo doon sa mga fields dito sa Northern Mindanao, ang dami kayang nagtatanim ng kalabasa. Kasi ang kalabasa, umabot siya ng 30 per kilo. Eh ngayon, ang dami nagtatanim ng kalabasa. Ang problema, pag mag-harvest itong kalabasa ngayon, baka 3 na lang. No? So, whether you like it or not, the motivation of the farmer to plant is still price. Still price. No? Please click yung another slide dyan. So, ang gusto lang natin, i-click na lang lahat para makita natin. Yeah. So, these are the dreams kasi ng farmer. I-click mo lahat. So, we wanted to transform corn farming into bulk logistics, no? Kasi ang bulk logistics kasi can save you, let's say for example, 3 pesos per kilo. Kasi ang sako, labor, and then yung cost ng ng quality, no? So we wanted to empower the farmers, no? So kailangan mag-deliver ang farmer ng wheat grains niya or corn on cob, no? Tapos may mga standard recoveries naman yan, giving a equitable pricing, no? Assured minimum price under the Republic Act 7607. Of course, there is an option for future. In other words, I can deposit my corn now. I will withdraw my corn, the proceeds of my corn 4 months later. So in other words, if the price now is 13, 4 months later, the price is 15, then I will have 2 pesos more. No, so these are the marketing platforms that we need. No, so but how can you be guaranteed, no, for the end user? So you need a mechanical dryer. You need bulk storage silos in order to preserve the stocks with low APLA. No? Kasi you cannot mingle a good quality corn with a corn dried on the highway. Otherwise, it will contaminate and it will destroy the whole corn in the silo. Yan ang isang problema. Another slide, please. So, nandiyan yan. Kaya nga, kanina sinasabi ko na, yung integrity ng delivery, yung warehouse receipt. You know, this warehouse receipt is already pending in Congress. There is a warehouse receipt law. Kinu-question namin ito palagi. This last month, I think, there is already a hearing in Senate. So, our position is that we should first have the proper infrastructure support in order for us to fully implement the warehouse receipt law. Otherwise, we are just making a mockery out of this law. Why? Because you cannot guarantee the integrity of the supply of the delivery of your corn or commodity 2, 3, 4, 5 months later after harvest. Kasi hindi magandang quality. Di ba? Kasi babayaran mo siya in terms of quality and MC. Now, if 4 months later, hindi na magandang quality, papaano mo mabigay yan doon sa end user na iba ng quality? Siyempre, hindi mo mag-guarantee yun. Kaya kailangan tayo ng trading venue, kailangan tayo ng public price discovery, and leverage ng pricing. So, mayroon kasi mga programa yan, yung hedging, no? Sinasabi nga natin dito sa empowerment, option of future price. Because I am, for example, farmer A. I'm going to deposit my corn in the silo of Roger Navarro, no? And then that silo will be also deposited by farmer B, farmer C, all of these things, no? And then the opted that they're going to withdraw their money 3 months, 4 months, 5 months later. So equitably, you will be able to liquidate their corn in terms of the pricing during those months. But the quality of corn remains the same from the time it was delivered to the silo and it is delivered to the end user. Yan kasi ang kailangan mong i-garantiya. Another slide, please. Ito, pinakita natin dito yung farmer's right in the Magna Carta of Small Farmers, which is the Republic Act 7607. This is not a repealed law. In the rice tarification, hindi na repeal ito. The problem is that nakalimutan nila na mayroon palang isang commodity na iniwanan nila dito. No? So ang isang commodity is rice, is corn. Kasi ang rice lang ang tinitingnan nila na isolve. Ang corn, binitawan na nila kasi mga corny ito. No? Wala namang mga silbi ito mga corn. No? Kaya iniwanan nila. No? So if you're going to take a look on chapter 3, section 8, it says farmer's right. This is not merely a pronouncement. That is a right. No? Right. Number one, conduct their activities in an atmosphere of guaranteed by a support price program. No? For certain agriculture commodities such as rice and corn. This is the anchor law of NFA when NFA was still buying under support price for rice and corn. Pero ngayon nga, ang NFA ay nandoon na sa RTL, rice-centric na lang sila. Hindi na sila pwede mag-mais. So sino yung magbibili ng mais ngayon? Kaya naiwanan yung mais. Orphan yung mais. Kaya mga corny na lahat ang magmamais. No? Number two, participate in a market free of monopoly, cartel, or any other situation which may suppress the price to their disadvantage. Ang gusto nga natin ito, stabilize the price, stabilize the supply, so that there will be predictable incomes to farmers and predictable cost of feed millers to the livestock sector. You see, stabilize price, stabilize supply, in order for you to have a predictable income for farmers and a predictable cost of livestock sector and feed milling sector. Hindi lang yan for farmers, hindi lang yan for one, but for all in the chain. Another slide, please. So, ito, mayroon dito, chapter 8, no, 1625, sinabi dito na the Department of Agriculture through its appropriate agency, which is NFA before, shall establish a price support system for agriculture products, especially rice and corn, taking into consideration the need to increase the real incomes of small farmers, provided that the government shall also endeavor to set farm gate prices that respond to the changing economic conditions. So in other words, it will not be just 13 pesos. You know, long time ago, the support price for corn was just 7 pesos. No? And for yellow, it was just 5 pesos. No? For white, it was 7 pesos. So we lobbied and we argued to government. Because at that time, the price in the international prices was 27. And the price of fertilizer at that time was 2,500 for urea. So we said that the price of corn in the market today is 10. And we need to increase the price in order for the farmers to have a more dignified income. No? So sabi namin, the more, or else we are going to be allowed to export. No? So sabi namin, ano yung fair price? Sabi namin, 13 pesos po. No? 13 pesos po. So, anong nangyari doon, na-allow yung 13 pesos. So, ngayon, NFA is buying corn. Before, it was rice tarification for 13, I think 13.75, no? Kasi yung 75 is for the cooperative. So, that the government shall also endeavor to farm gate price, respond to changing time, and then in addition, the government shall minimize importation. No? Kung ma-develop mo yan locally, then you minimize importation. Di ba? Eh, ang problema natin dito, for example, in the seeds, no? So, ang problema namin ngayon, we filed already in the GDC or Joint Department Circular that our seeds for corn should be deregularized or para ba maging generic, no? Kasi meron ng mga sige-sige if you will notice in the fields, no? Meron ng mga corn that is being bred by our farmers na sometimes it is Syngenta, sometimes it's Monsanto, all of these things. And then, illegal yan, illegal. No? So we need them to be on the mainstream na legal. They can only be legal if the GDC will allow deregulation or just like generic law. No? Long time ago, the prices of medicine was very high. After the generic law was passed, the price of medicine is relatively lower. Now, the price of seeds now in the field is 16 pesos per hectare. No? So, 8,000 kada bag. Kasi 2 bag kailangan mo. No? The minimum probably would be 12,000 per bag. Kung finance ka, siyempre tataas kasi finance ka. No? Pero yung mga sige-sige, nandyan lang sa mga 2,000. No? Pero pareho lang din siya, pero illegal. Kaya sabi namin, we need to deregulate so that the farm gate price or the prices for seeds will go down. And then the breeders local, the farmers that breeding it, and the local industry for breed, that is breeding for corn seeds, will be on the mainstream and can join in the business for corn seeds. You can just imagine this seed industry is about 10 billion only monopolized by 3 multinational, not Filipino-owned. It's multinational, owned by multinational. O siyempre kung may mga multinational yan, their income goes to other countries, di ba? And then ang sinasabi nila ngayon, ang local ang nag-contaminate. Paano tayo nag-contaminate? Sino bang nakauna sa Pilipinas? Sila or tayo? When they came into the country, our farmers for corn is already planting corn. Mayroon na tayong mga sarili nating variety or traits. When they came in, they introduced this new variety and traits. Siyempre, open-pollinated naman yan. Diba? So kung open-pollinated yan, di mag-contaminate talaga yan. Hindi naman self-pollinating yan. So in other words, there should be a deregulation law that should come out from DA, from the Joint Department Circular to deregulate the list so that this can be used by all to empower the breeders and make the seeds prices go down or stabilize. So ito yung mga advocacies natin. Another slide please. Ito siguro alam naman natin ito lahat. No, farmers should be heard, represented in government. Sometimes farmer is not represented in government. And we should be regularly informed of the vital information for market price. This is not being given to us. No? Even with the APMA law, yung sinasabi natin, Agriculture Fishery Modernization Act. Kasi doon, talagang sinasabi niya, dapat data gathering. The farmer should be informed of prices. The farmer should be informed of the climate conditions. The farmer should be informed of any trade remedies outside the country. So kailangan may mga market intelligence, the farmer should be involved. So that these policies, demands, and practices of farmers should be improved. You know? So yun ang dapat. Pero hindi nangyari. Hindi nangyari. So the other very important is that number 10. Kasi gusto namin ito eh. After kasi the rice tarification, siyempre nawala yung NFA. Kami ngayon, ulila, di ba? Yung sinasabi natin, wala nang bumibili for spot price eh. Gusto namin ngayon, we will set up the buying for corn in support price. No? Kasi sinasabi dito, eventually, assume certain processing and marketing functions of government agencies. That is Section 8 on farmers' rights. In other words, we farmers, represented by PhilMaize all over the country, can eventually assume certain processing, marketing functions of government agency na nakalimutan nila, which is the price support system. Kasi naulila na nga yung corn. So, this is a dream. This is our advocacy. We hope that the government will hear us on this. No? Another slide, please. So, sinasabi pa dito sa Chapter 4, no? So, ang NFA is going to establish the necessary post-harvest facility, dryers, etc. No? Such post-harvest facility shall be leased. I would like to repeat, no? Such post-harvest facility shall be leased to farmers' organization, no? Viable cooperatives shall have the option to buy such facility from NFA, underutilized, non-operational post-harvest facility of the government, shall be made available to the private or farmers organization for lease, through lease or sale. So in other words, we can do the price support system by just the Republic Act 7607. Kasi hindi ito repealed eh. Di ba? We are just anchoring ourselves with the law. No? So this is the law. Nandiyan yan sa Section 14. Now, Section 15, sinasabi, market infrastructure to assume farmers of markets of their produce, and government shall assist farmers organization in establishing operating market infrastructures, facilities, and equipment. In other words, the government should help us. Ngayon, iniwanan lang kami basta. Ilang taon na ba yung rice tariffication? I think it's almost 3 years. So in other words, the corn farmers has been left out for 3 years. And then the government has not seen their obligation, parang dereliction of duty, under the Chapter 14 or Chapter 8, Section 4, or Chapter 4, Section 14 and 15. So this is a grave misconduct or irresponsibility of government. Another slide, please. Ito lang naman ang gusto, paki-click na lang sa lahat. Ito lang naman gusto ng corn farmer eh. So, kung mag-deliver ka at 13% MC, corn cob, or you can deliver also with shield kasi you are not given the facility to dry your corn with shield lang. So, meron kang thresher or sheller, pwede mo nang ma-deliver, no? So, and then you will be having a recovery system for equitable pricing, no? So, ito yung sinasabi namin na you get the KIDAN or warehouse receipt, no? So, from that, we will there is a formula. You can get a recovery for 13% out of your delivery of corn cobs or wheat shell, no? So, ito yung formula, yung 54% recovery for the corn on cob, 70% recovery for the wheat shell. And then, i-multiply mo ng price, so that will be your price, for example, no? So, ito lang naman ang option eh. Sell at spot price, pwede spot na. So, this na. Later price. So, in other words, I will deliver my corn in later price ang ano ko kasi 4 months later. I will just pay you for the storage fee. No, so secure loans for advances. Siyempre, kung nandiyan na deposit diyan, that will be my guarantee for the bank to give me loan so that I can plant again, no? Buy the seeds, buy the inputs, no? So against the receipt, KIDAN receipt or warehouse receipt, no? Siyempre, ang end user has to buy that, no? In terms of warehouse receipt. For example, ako, farmer A, has the warehouse receipt. A farmer and a trader or a feed miller can buy my farmer's receipt, no? So, and then he can just withdraw in the time given under the warehouse receipt. So, yan lang naman ang gusto natin, no? So, maganda yan kasi delivered sa end users in bulk instead of box, no? Sana po gano'n na mangyari. Pero ngayon, bags pa talaga kasi kulang talaga tayo ng infrastructure support po. So another slide. Malapit na ba tayo? So I think this is just the dream for us, no? We are suggesting that the government is going to at least sequester 20% of the wheat season crop, no? In the 3 corn champion regions. As I said, the 3 corn champion regions is in Isabela, in Cotabato, and in northern Mindanao, no? So in other words, if you're going to install infrastructure of 600,000 metric tons or 120,000 hectares or 20%, no? So ito yung mga cost mo, no? So ang budgetary cost natin is 4.5 billion po, no? So ang problema nga, ang budget mo is just 1.4, no? So yan ang problema. So sa amin, we wanted to do this as a big brother, and small brother mo yung mga provincial post-harvest facility that has a capacity of mga 5,000 hectares, no? 2,000 hectares, or 10,000 hectares, no? So, ito yung mga kailangan natin. We also need a regional corn terminal centers para kung gusto mo mag-export doon sa other areas like Luzon and Visayas. So, kailangan may silo ka on the pier or on the port, no? Kasi kailangan din ito later doon sa sinasabi natin structural policy natin na kung mag-export tayo X number of metric tons, we can also import the same X number metric tons at zero tariff. So mayroon tayong infrastructure support. No? So kailangan natin ito. Noong araw kasi, Northern Mindanao has been exporting their corn to Visayas and to Batangas and to Bulacan. No? Kasi wala pa ang Isabela noong araw. Ang Isabela was the region that grows tobacco. No? So ang napakalaki talagang production ng corn noong araw is Northern Mindanao. No? And then later, ang livestock sector went back here, moved to Northern Mindanao. So ang internal market being generated to that, siyempre, maliit na lang yung export natin to other islands of the Philippines, no? Kasi meron na tayong internal market. Nandito na yung mga livestock sector, nag-relocate na sila kasi nandito yung supply ng corn. No? So, yan ang nangyari. So, ito yung sinasabi namin, we have to build 10,000 metric ton capacity post-harvest in corn champion provinces. For example, in Claveria, in Bukidnon, in Lanao, in Cotabato, etc., etc. So these are the whole holistic approach of how to stabilize price and stabilize the supply and guarantee the incomes of farmers and guarantee the cost of feed millers. Another slide, please. So sabi nga nila, paano mo i-build yan? Wala namang budget yung corn. Eh sinasabi namin, mayroon nga tayong pera. Ang pera nito is under Republic Act 8435 or the APMA, yung Agriculture Fishery Modernization Act. It says there is bank penalties for bank that does not give loans to agriculture projects, which is 0.5%. Eh ang pera ngayon, sabi ng central banks is almost or more than 10 billion already, no? And then ito ay nalilikom sa tinatawag natin na Agriculture Guarantee Fund Pool na nasa Land Bank nung araw managed by DA. Eh ngayon, na-infuse na daw ito sa PhilGuarantee. Ang PhilGuarantee kasi will guarantee loans not only agriculture but also other projects like housing po. Eh, ang problema, yung 10 billion mo ba ay na-guarantee mo yan sa agriculture or you also guaranteed it in other projects other than the agriculture? Kaya sabi namin sa mga meetings, we need to get the accounts of that. No, we need to be informed where the money is, where it should be guaranteed to projects of agriculture, like for example, what we're saying, for the viability gap fund, for viable projects of a unviable proponent like us, for example, no? So, sinasabi dito, what was not mentioned, for example, in the 10 billion penalty is that the banks have not made loan to agriculture to over 2 trillion pesos. The time that the APMA law was imposed. So you can just imagine, napakalaki talaga. If the 2 trillion pesos was indeed given to agriculture investment, no? So it should have covered 100% of the post-harvest facility, not only for corn, but also for rice. And it can irrigate 1 million hectares of rice field throughout the country. No? Kasi ang kailangan mo lang, ilan lang yung sa post-harvest facility, 1.4 million hectares. No? So, ang bank penalty, 2 trillion. Coverage mo, 94 billion ang kailangan. Sa rice mo, 94, for example. Sa irrigation, 300 billion. Ang total mo lahat, 489 billion. Eh, 2 trillion yan. So, meron ka pa rin 1.5 trillion pesos. Pero hindi nangyari. Kasi nagbabayad na lang sila ng penalty. Kasi nga, risky daw yung mga agriculture project. Kaya ngayon, lahat tayo nag-i-import na lang po. Kasi po, hindi natin nakikita ang importansya ng agrikultura ng producer dito sa country natin. And that's the most sad situation that we have. Another slide, please. Meron pa ba? Okay, itong modernization, nandito naman ito sa Republic Act 7607, sinasabi natin. Nandyan din yan sa APMA law. No? So, yung creation ng Viability Gap Fund, na sana kung ito ang nangyayari, kasi nga ang World Bank, nandito naman din yung headquarters ng EDB, nandyan lang sa Vargas, sa Pasig. Hindi tayo makadikta sa kanila kung ano yung gusto natin na agriculture project. Pero yung ibang bansa na wala naman yung headquarters nila, like for example, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, pag ang government nila nagsabi na di kami mag-accept ng ibang project, kundi agriculture lang, we have to develop agriculture, ang EDB will subscribe to them. Pero dito sa atin, ang sasabihin ng EDB, ikaw mag-loan ka Pilipinas, o magkano yung loan mo? Bibigay kita ng $400 million, no? Na loan. Paano yan? Para sa para sa social welfare ng mga farmers. Just imagine, no? Kaya lately, meron tayong loan sa EDB para nabibigay tayo sa farmer. Kaya ngayon, ang DA para na rin siya DSWD, namimigay sa mga farmers. Sana it should have been put in the infrastructure support to stabilize supply, stabilize price, and opportunity for farmers' income. Hindi naman tayo pulubi. What we need is just the good price for our produce so that there will be dignity of being a farmer and a food provider on the table of the Filipinos. So kailangan nilagay mo yung ganun na mga statement for the farmers. Hindi siya pulubi. Kailangan mo siyang respetuhin. Bibigyan mo siya ng palisiya na maganda para maganda rin yung respeto niya sa sarili niya. Ngayon, ang problema, ginagawa mo siyang pulubi, dinemoralize mo pa siya, wala siyang respeto sa sarili niya. So, this is to empower the corn farmers, DA is obligated to siyempre, kailangan mo pa rin yung implement yung Republic Act on the price support. No? So, kaya sinasabi natin dito, we need a combination of solutions. No? Kaya nga, ang problema, sana makinig sila sa private sector, pero ang problema kasi sa kanila, when a new administration come in, no? Bago din yung staff niya. Siyempre, kung bago din yung staff niya, wala siyang institutional memory as to what happened to the crop 10 years before, 5 years before. So if there is problem, they might have a solution, pero hindi naka-anchor dun what happened before. So ang nangyayari ngayon, talagang napakahirap. No? So another slide, please. So anyway, ito naman nasabi ko na kanina, yung price support, no? So yung administration ng minimum buying price, it's guaranteed there, no? So and then the implementation of the large post-harvest facility as big brother, and then yung small brother to support in the smaller capacity post-harvest in the province, municipalities, para ma-supply doon. No? So ito talaga ang kailangan. And then this should be implemented by a organized farmers organization like PhilMaize. Hindi lang yung mga ginagamit. Ang problema kasi, pag malapit na ang eleksyon, maraming politiko gumagawa na lang ng iba-ibang klaseng co-op. Yung iba-ibang klaseng co-op ngayon, pinapa-access nila ng projects doon sa DA. Pagkatapos ng eleksyon, patay na yung co-op. No? So this is what is going on for the last decades. No? Sana maging wala yan. Kasi, for example, ay mayroong recipient ni congressman, ni mayor, ni pagkatapos niyan, hindi na alagaan, namatay yung baka, namatay yung baboy, hindi na yung post-harvest. Talagang we're making a mockery out of this. No? We are not making development. We are not making empowerment for the farming sector. This is very sad, really. This is very sad. Another slide, please. So ito na yung mga sinasabi natin kung ano yung mga enabling environment na dapat gagawin ng gobyerno. Sana po magkaroon tayo ng framework for the viability gap fund. Sana po yung ating guarantee can leverage to the farmers. No, sana po yung mga intervention can be put as equity for the farmers in order for him to be viable. And then more liberalized tax incentives for post-harvest. Sana po wala nga ang tax kasi this is needed. And then implementation of rice support, the creation of the Philippine Corn Development Administration po. Tapos ang importation collected ng corn and corn substitutes will be given to corn. Just like ngayon sa RTL, kung nag-import ka ng rice, kung ano yung kolekta ng importation mo, nilalagay mo ulit dun sa rice industry by way of RCEP. So sana po, kung mayroon tayo niyan, ang importation ng corn at saka corn substitute, ano yung import taxes niya, ilalagay doon para ma-develop yung industriya. Yun ang gusto natin. No? So, and then, dapat meron na tayong more precise and timely information for market, status ng crop, no? Sana remote sensing na lahat para guided yung farmer, hindi yung guessing game, no? Ang mangyari lang, guessing game hanggang ngayon pa eh. So, dapat i-modernize na natin yung farm at saka farm registry system, no? Kasi talagang hindi pa talaga tayo organized dito. And then, syempre, yung mga taxes natin, dapat natin talaga ito problema. Ang isa pang problema natin, yung mga permits natin. No? Kasi siyempre, ang DA will entice you to invest in agriculture. But if you're going to invest in agriculture, you go to DTI, you go to DNR, you go to the city, municipality, or province where you are operating, and then you get the permit. Then after that, when you are maybe a threat to them, walang magawa DA. Kung papaalis ka nila, let's say for example, you put up a poultry, you put up a piggery, and then you were the ones there for the past 20 years. And then after 20 years, meron na mga other inhabitants doon, papaalisin ka na nila, walang magawa DA. No? So, doon ka na sa permitting problem mo sa local government at saka sa DNR. So, these are the real problem in the field, no? But they are not doing anything about it. Kaya sinasabi natin, sana po mayroong harmonization. If you're going to entice agriculture investment, then you have to help him in the permitting, no? In the permitting and guarantee yung tinatawag nila na para bagang yung sinasabi nila na hindi ka papalisin, no? So yan ang problema, maski ako, yan ang problema ko ngayon. And then, siyempre yung mga transport cost natin, napakalaki din yan, no? So, ang diesel. In other countries kasi, pag agriculture ka, ang diesel mo, ang kulay green. And then the price is different from the kulay na brown. No? So, kasi subsidized yun. Sa atin dito, pareho lang tayo ng kulay at ang price pareho lang din tayo. Pero ikaw ang agriculture, dapat meron kang subsidy dito. So, and then the other one, kanina sinasabi ko na, yung deregulation. No? Kasi matagal na ito, dapat ma-liberalize na ito para maging generic so that the input cost in terms of seeds talagang bababa. So, maraming salamat po. Kung mayroon pa bang ibang slide. Wala na po. So, may our people in government be the usher of development of the farmers, of our food producer in the country. May God bless our farmers. Thank you, and thank you. Yan lang po.
Thank you so much po, Engineer Roger V. Navarro, to our speaker. Thank you so much, sir, for that very very informative and very interesting topic that you have presented. Now po, let's go to our question and answer portion, or the open forum part of our webinar today. So we have several questions po from our audience for you. So can I ask na the first question, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
This first question is from Sir Alexander Morados, who is asking po, the most common and popular varieties of corn are the white and yellow. May we know the status of the other lesser known varieties such as purple variety, malagkit corn, and popcorn? So yun po yung kanyang first question.
Yeah. Actually, yun ang mga tinatawag natin na mga fancy seeds, no? So, available naman siya ngayon, no? Hindi lang sa ganong kalaki, pero available siya. May mga purple corn na mga sweet corn, mayroon ding hindi sweet corn na purple corn. For example, yung sa atin kasi mayroon tayong tinatawag na native variety na tinigib, no? Yung tinigib native variety natin ngayon na nasa Thailand, nasa Simit, unfortunately, hindi natin na-develop, pero sa kanila na-develop, and then they're supplying it in the mainstream already. You know? So, but in the country today, there are a number of corn breeders that offers these varieties. No? sweet corn, colored corn sinasabi natin. No? There is also black, there is also green, and some other colors. No? Yeah, there are available in the market. Meron na yan.
I see. Thank you so much, sir, for clearing that up. Now let's go to his second question, still from Sir Alexander Morados. How can we help our farmer processors of Binake in Region 10 increase their productivity and profitability?
Ang binaki, kailangan talaga natin tulungan yan. No? I remember one corn congress in Davao. We ordered binaki here in Bukidnon, brought it in Davao to offer this binaki for our snacks. No? Itong binaki kasi ito na ginamit na yata nila, ibang variety. No? This is more on malakit and sweet corn. So maganda yon. No? So I think kailangan lang nilang pumunta sa DA, sa AMAS, or sa DTI to gain yung parang bagang sinasabi natin na mas magandang processing that they will be able to also store it and can ship it to other places, no? Kasi maraming nag-order niyan when we were still active in the field the last time. Maraming nag-order diyan sa Manila. Ang problema, how to ship it. So, merong isang producer nga, ang ginawa niya, nag-blast freeze siya, no? Parang itong technology na tinatawag doon sa mga saging natin na saba, na yung IQF, no? Individual Quick Freezing. So, nag-freeze siya, pinadala sa Manila, tapos inano mo lang, ilalagay mo sa, anong tawag dito, yung ating toaster or maski yung mga ano natin, mga ordinary fryers or vacuum yan ang ginagawa nila. But yung tulong diyan, siyempre kailangan natin na pupuntahan yung ating mga government sector like DTI and DA. Yan talaga ang tutulong sa atin.
Yes, that's true. No, so if there are any binaki producers or processors who are watching, we'd like to reiterate lang yung sinabi ni Sir. You can approach the different government agencies, especially Department of Agriculture and DTI, because they can help you. And yes,
Also the DOST.
oo, yes, also DOST kasi nga merong mga technology na pwedeng magamit nyo for you to improve your products or even take it up a notch pa. So yun. Thank you so much for that po, sir. Now let's go to our next question po. So somebody is asking, with the government's program on post-harvest handling and processing, what is the prevailing level of post-harvest losses? Is this level acceptable? What are the areas of improvement on post-harvest processing and handling?
Well, in the last survey, the post-harvest losses was pegged at 15%. No, so you can just imagine if you have 8 million hectares, 15% of that is the post-harvest losses. No, we're saying that most of the post-harvest losses is in the field. No, not only in the post-harvest processing area. It's more on the field. Kasi ang harvesting natin is by hand before. No. And right now, there is already a intervention by way of using combine. The only problem there also in the combine is that you must be able to put up the necessary equivalent volume capacity of your post-harvest. Because if you're going to use combine, in other words, you already are shelling your corn in the field, and then you are supposed to put that in your dryers. No? So, because we will classify that already as the wheat shelled, yung tinatawag natin kanina, wheat shelled, shelled. No? So, kailangan mo na ilagay yan sa dryer. Otherwise, if you're going to put that in your sacks, then it will be destroyed in the next 4 hours or 12 hours. No? So, without the necessary tandem ng capacity mo on the dryer, then you will have a problem for your quality later. No? So, ang recovery mo. Yan ang problema talaga. But there was another survey by PhilMaize. They're saying that post-harvest losses after the implementation of the post-harvest facility and mechanization, it only is about 7.8 or the 8% na lang. It needs to be validated.
Yes. Uh, Thank you so much for that, sir. Now let's go to our next question. So somebody is asking po, for future corn farmers, what is your advice to ensure a profitable corn enterprise?
This time around, you need to be parang on the chain na, no? So, if you are going to be a corn farmer, for example, do not concentrate only for corn. In other words, for example, on my case, no, I also have a little dairy. So, I plant corn also for silage for my cow, no? So, in other words, do not just rely solely on corn. Before, I used to plant 120 hectares of corn. And I dried my corn and then supply it in the market in terms of yung dried grains. No? Sometimes the price is high, sometimes the price is low. So, pero kung mayroon kang value adding, for example, you're going to use it on your own, so medyo mag-equalize yung ano mo, yung income mo and then hindi ka masyado lost, no? So yun lang. And then the other one of course is that you need to be very keen on observing climate change, no? So you need to use the tools now present in this present technology. So we before wala kasi tayo, nagtitingin lang tayo sa langit, no? Pero ngayon mayroon tayong tinatawag na mga instruments like Sarai, for example. You can surf Sarai and then you will be able to see ang mga predictions nila on the next cropping. Like for example, this time around, maganda ang ulan ngayon. Ang problema nga lang, until August, September yung ulan, until mag-atatanim ka ng October, meron pang ulan. So you will be guided with all of these tools, no? So and then the other one is that you can use already instrument in your planting, no? So you can use drone in your planting. So you will be more efficient with using the new technology now available in the market.
I see. Thank you so much, sir. No, and then just to reiterate, sabi nga ni sir, yung advice niya is don't rely solely on corn, so diversify your farms, and if possible, also utilize, diba? Gaya ng kang Sir Roger, ginagamit niya rin for silage yung corn niya. So he is utilizing all the parts of the corn, and also sa sinabi niya nga, make use of all the technologies available because sayang naman kung hindi natin gagamitin. Now let's go to our next question. So there is so much funds for corn, but farmers find it difficult to access. How do we make the government financial support more accessible to smallholder farmers?
This is really the great challenge, no? Right now, the government is saying that there is available money in the market or in the banks. The problem is accessing it. And then, of course, the ultimate is releasing it, no? Kasi if you notice, there are many that's going to apply, but the problem is if they're going to be approved, no? And then the processing of their application will take months, no? So we need a harmonization. For example, in the Land Bank of the Philippines, which was an agriculture bank before, now they convert themselves into Universal Bank. So when you convert into Universal Bank, you are already obliged to follow the ratings of the central bank, which are the CAMELS rating. The CAMELS rating is composed of assets, and then cash, and then liabilities, and then all of these things, no? So the acronym is CAMELS, no? So if you are not there, syempre kasi mayroon kang mga problems on agriculture, kaya nga risky ang agriculture. That is precisely the reason why we implemented yung APMA law, no? Na dapat mayroon kang kulatilya kung magpautang ka sa agriculture. But this time around, because they're saying that we should be able to amend the law, ang amin tinatabi dito, dapat ang law should be very explicit this time around. If there is, for example, a certain percentage of the loan portfolio of a bank, this loan portfolio should be given to land bank, and land bank should expand their extension work so that agriculture can be addressed. And the last meeting that we have is that Land Bank now is saying that they are going to remain as universal, and then they are going to create another subsidiary for agriculture so that this universal bank will be allowed to make money and make profits to cross-subsidize yung kanyang isang bangko na for agriculture. There are still things that we need to iron out here, but really the problem is that the farmer is not bankable. Sometimes the collateral is not there. We only have tax declaration and it's not applicable in the market. And then sometimes our farmers find it hard to accomplish a application forms. No, so this is really part of the challenge that we need to undertake. Even this morning, I was questioning on the CDA or the Cooperative Development Authority. I fully understand that CDA should be developmental rather than enforcing regulations. No, if you can just probably imagine, there are many cooperatives that has closed down or dying, no? And yet, CDA as a development authority for cooperatives should help them develop rather than help them compliant of their regulations, no? So this is what is happening in the cooperative system. They want to be enforcing in their mandated regulatory activity rather than develop the cooperative into empowered and more prosperous cooperative. So may maraming challenge talaga tayo dito. And then we need just to be consistent with our policies for progress for farmers.
Okay, thank you so much for that, sir. And indeed, marami pang mga kailangang ayusin. There are a lot of things to iron out pa nga kasi, yes, this aspect is a bit challenging. No, there are still a lot of amendments that we need to the laws that needs to be clearing up the clauses. Yes, so marami pang kailangang pagdaanan, but hopefully we would get to achieve it in the future, all for the sake of our corn farmers then. Now, this is not a question, but just a comment from one of our viewers. This is from Jan Maido. Sabi niya, thank you so much for this very informative webinar. Sana mabigyan na ng ating gobyerno ng pansin ang sitwasyon ng ating corn farmers, even also rice farmers. Laging kawawa ang mga farmers natin. And yes, absolutely. We hope that the situation for all of our farmers, especially our corn farmers, would be better. So thank you so much for that comment po, Sir John Maido. Now, sir, this is our last request from you po. So can we ask you for a message to all our viewers, especially to the students and faculty who are watching with us? And also we have viewers from different private sectors, and we also have farmers with us, or corn farmers who are watching today's episode. So any message po for them?
Yeah, actually, farming is really a very noble task, no? So, farming is the most, para sa akin, primordial obligations for us citizens in order for us to, of course, supply food in the table of our Filipino constituents, no? So, ang isang problema lang talaga is that we should balance out our policies, no? India, for example, long time ago was a consumer-centric policy in terms of food security, and later they changed into more producer-centric. So right now they are exporting. Before they were just importing. No? So the Philippines now is being dubbed as the consumer-centric policy. We should be able to shift that to more producer policy-centric. No? So, and I hope that the students listening now should also welcome the wisdom of the people from the ground, no? Because you cannot just be theoretical all the time in your lives, no? So you need also to exercise some numbers coming from the people on the ground. They might not be as educated as you are. They might not have a PhD degree or doctorate degree. But with their experience in the hand of farming in the longest time, I think they need to be heard and they need to be considered for a better policy for agriculture and for the farmers' welfare. So this is the challenge really for us because even us, for example, as leaders of agriculture, we are still finding our ways, debating with people who have PhD degrees who are now in government, in high-ranking positions because they have bias on their theories. No, but all of these theories can be thrown out the garbage if they are not really implemented well and appreciated well by the people on the ground. So, ang mensahe lang talaga dito is that we should humble ourselves, no? And we should help our very own farmers because the farmers, the local farmers, are our hearts and the supplier of our food. No? So, hindi naman tayo mga supporter lang doon sa ating mga other nation farmers. We need to support our local farmers so that our agriculture supply, food chain will be stabilized and then the country will develop. No? Kasi we are composed of 7,000 islands and yet we're importing even our fish. No? So you can just imagine with all the natural resources that we have. So I think we still need to love agriculture. We still need to develop agriculture. We still need to support agriculture. And that is, I think, the mandate of our God. And we need to love them, embrace them, and of course, support them. Thank you, and God bless all.